You think the blue whale is the largest animal in Earth's history? Wrong. Humans believed this lie for a full century. In 2024, scientists confirmed a discovery that renders all textbooks obsolete. 220 million years ago, there was a marine reptile, as large as a blue whale. But the blue whale is a gentle predator. This one was an apex killer. 25 meters long, able to bite through a shark's eyeball in one go. Bigger than your head, could lock onto prey with precision in 400-meter deep darkness. A body longer than a plane that could accelerate instantly like a torpedo. This isn't a sci-fi movie, this was a real creature that existed. The scariest part, the scientist who found its bones said one thing. This is a cub, it wasn't fully grown, it was still growing. If it had lived to adulthood, its size would surpass human understanding. But even this ultimate hunter vanished from Earth completely overnight. No decline, no struggle, as if something wiped it out instantly. And the cause of its extinction is almost identical to what humanity is going through right now. This monster's name is Ichthyotitan. In April 2024, Dr. Dean Lomax, a paleontologist at the University of Bristol, United Kingdom, he officially announced the discovery to the world. The paper was published in the top academic journal Close One. But you would never guess who discovered this prehistoric giant. Not a big-name scientist, but an 11-year-old girl. In May 2020, in Somerset, England, at Blue Anchor Beach, a little girl named Ruby Reynolds was collecting fossils with her father Justin by the sea. It was a weekend hobby for the father and daughter. They had been at it for a few years. Never found anything big, but that day was different. Ruby found a rock on the sand, about 10 centimeters long. Bigger than any fossil she had ever seen. She thought it was strange, so she called her father to look. They dug more and more, piece after piece. They realized this might not be an ordinary rock. Justin sent photos to paleontologist Lomax. Lomax was stunned after seeing the photos. He told the father and daughter not to move anything. And that he would come right away. Why was he so excited? Because 4 years ago, in 2016, another amateur collector, Paul de la Salle, had also found similar bone fragments. At Lea Stock Beach, just 10 kilometers from Blue Fir Beach. At the time, Lomax studied them for a long time, determining that they were the jawbone of a giant ichthyosaur. But that bone was too fragmented. The information was insufficient, and he couldn't make a conclusion. He kept waiting for a second bone to appear. Now, Ruby has found it. From 2020 to 2022, Lomax led his team on multiple excavations at Blue Fir Beach. They pieced together a nearly complete jawbone. How big is this bone? Over 2 meters long, mind you. This is just part of the lower jaw, not the entire skull. If you reconstruct the entire skull, its length could exceed 3 meters, and the whole body? Lomax used proportional scaling, comparing the bone proportions of other known ichthyosaurs, and came up with a shocking number. This ichthyosaur titan was about 25 meters in total length, as long as a full-grown blue whale. But that is not the scariest part. The scariest part is the result of the bone section analysis. Lomax's team performed a histological analysis of the bone. That is, slicing the bone into thin sections, and observing the internal structure under a microscope. The results showed that the growth lines of this bone were very active, and bone deposition was still ongoing. What does this mean? This 25-meter-long giant was still a child. He wasn't fully grown, and he was still growing. If he lived to adulthood, how big would he get? No one knows, because we've never seen a fossil of an adult ichthyosaur titan. Maybe 30 meters. Maybe 35 meters. Maybe bigger than a blue whale. This question may never have an answer, because before he could grow up, he and his entire family disappeared from the earth completely. Before talking about extinction, let's first see what this monster actually was. Ichthyosaurs are not dinosaurs. Many people get confused, thinking ichthyosaurs were marine dinosaurs. Wrong. Ichthyosaurs and dinosaurs are completely different things. They diverged very early on the evolutionary tree. About 250 million years ago, the ancestors of ichthyosaurs left the land for the sea. Over the next 100 million years, the ichthyosaur family evolved wildly. Small ones were over a meter long, while large ones exceeded 20 meters. And Ichthyotitan was the last giant of this family. What did ichthyosaurs look like? Imagine a supersized dolphin, but even more streamlined and more ferocious. Its long pointed mouth was filled with conical teeth, like rows of daggers. A perfectly streamlined body, with limbs reduced to flippers and a powerful tail, allowing it to dart through the water like a torpedo, reaching speeds of up to 40 kilometers per hour, 4 times faster than an Olympic champion. But the most terrifying organ of an ichthyosaur was its eye. Ichthyotitan was a large ichthyosaur, and its eyeball diameter may have exceeded 30 centimeters. What does 30 centimeters mean? A standard basketball has a diameter of 24.6 centimeters. So Ichthyotitan's eye was bigger than a basketball. And what about the human eye? Its diameter is only 2.4 centimeters. Its eye is 12 times larger than ours. Why did it need such huge eyes? Because ichthyosaurs were deep-sea hunters. They didn't hang around in shallow waters like sharks, but dived into pitch-black waters hundreds of meters deep to hunt. There, sunlight cannot reach, and it's completely dark. But the ichthyosaur's giant eyeball could catch the faintest light. Even a tiny flicker from a deep-sea creature could not escape its eyes. Even more impressive, ichthyosaurs had a special ring of bones in their eyes, called the scleral ring. This ring of bones protected the eyeball, keeping its shape under high pressure. In the deep sea, it wouldn't be deformed by the water pressure. What does this mean? It means ichthyosaurs could maintain perfect vision. In the high-pressure deep-sea environment, it could see you, but you couldn't see it. By the time you spotted it, you were already dead. At this point you might ask, if ichthyosaurs were so powerful, why did they go extinct? Isn't it survival of the fittest? They were so perfect, how could they not survive? The answer is, it's not that he wasn't strong enough. It's that Earth wouldn't let him live. The ichthyosaur titan lived in the Triassic period. At the end, 220 million years ago, it was a special era. Back then, the oceans were completely different from today. The oceans back then were a paradise for monsters. In the late Triassic, Earth's climate was very warm. There was no Antarctic ice sheet, no Arctic glacier. Global sea levels were much higher than today. Large areas of land were submerged by seawater, forming vast shallow seas. These shallow seas were like huge nurseries, nurturing countless marine creatures. Cephalopods, fish, and various marine reptiles. The food chain was layered. The ecosystem was exceptionally prosperous. In such an environment, food wasn't a problem. As long as you were big and strong enough, you could eat as much as you wanted. So, gigantism became the main theme of that era. Ichthyosaurs grew bigger and bigger, stronger and stronger. By the end of the Triassic, a behemoth like the ichthyosaur titan was already at the top of the food chain. They were the orcas of that era, the absolute rulers of the oceans. But the good times were about to end. Just when the ichthyosaur titan was at its peak, a major event happened on Earth. The Triassic-Jurassic extinction, about 210 million years ago. Earth experienced a supervolcanic eruption at a location in today's Central Atlantic Ocean. Scientists call it the Central Atlantic Magmatic Province. This is one of the largest volcanic events known to humankind. The erupted lava covered over 7 million square kilometers, larger than Australia. The volcano erupted continuously for 600,000 years. What did the volcano release? A huge amount of carbon dioxide. Scientists estimate that atmospheric carbon dioxide levels surged to 10 times today's levels. Earth became a super greenhouse. Global temperatures may have risen by more than 10 degrees Celsius. What happens when temperatures rise? The seawater gets hotter, so hot water can dissolve less oxygen. So the oceans began to lose oxygen. Creatures that needed a lot of oxygen suffocated first. But this wasn't the deadliest part. The deadliest was ocean acidification. Carbon dioxide from the atmosphere dissolves into seawater, turning into carbonic acid. The acidity of the seawater rose sharply. Creatures with calcium carbonate shells, shellfish, and coral, began to corrode and dissolve. The entire marine food chain collapsed from the bottom up. For top predators like Ichthyotitan, this was a catastrophic blow. Think about it, a giant beast 25 meters long. How much food would it need each day? Scientists estimate that a single Ichthyotitan might have consumed hundreds of kilograms of prey daily. When the food chain collapsed, and prey dwindled, these giants starved first. Because they were too large, their energy demands were too high. Once food was insufficient, they were the first to die. The end Triassic mass extinction eliminated about 50% of Earth's species. 20% of marine life vanished completely. Ichthyotitan and its kind went extinct entirely. They disappeared from the fossil record overnight, never to appear again. Someone might say, weren't there other ichthyosaurs? True, some smaller ichthyosaurs survived this extinction. But they never again grew as large as Ichthyotitan. The era that allowed giant predators to exist was gone forever. The ocean's temperature, oxygen levels, pH balance, and food chain structure had all fundamentally changed. The Jurassic Ocean was no longer the Triassic Ocean. That monster paradise was permanently closed. Now, let's make an interesting comparison. Ichthyotitan versus the blue whale, two giants, two eras. Two completely different survival strategies. First, size. Ichthyotitan was about 25 meters long, while the blue whale can exceed 30 meters. In terms of length alone, the blue whale wins. But the blue whale is currently the largest known animal on Earth, while the Ichthyotitan discovered was just a juvenile. If an adult Ichthyotitan existed, it's hard to say which would be larger. Second, feeding habits. The blue whale is a filter feeder, and it has no teeth. Its mouth is lined with baleen plates, specifically for filtering krill and small fish from the water. Each day, a blue whale consumes about 4 tons of krill. It is a supersized filter, gentle and peaceful, harmless to humans. Ichthyotitan was the complete opposite. It is a top predator that actively hunts. It has a mouth full of conical teeth, capable of crushing any prey. Its prey includes large fish, other marine reptiles, cephalopods, and anything it can catch. It's more like a scaled-up orca, rather than a blue whale. Third, deep diving ability. Blue whales can dive about 500 meters deep. By holding their breath and using collapsible ribs, they must surface to breathe after each dive. Ichthyotitan is different. Its skeleton is lethally dense, naturally built to withstand high pressure. Sinking requires almost no effort, like a biological submarine. Its giant eyes allow it to see clearly in the deep sea darkness. Scientists speculate that ichthyosaurs could dive to 600 meters or deeper. At that depth, a great white shark goes blind. The ichthyosaur can still lock onto its prey with precision. Two great beasts, two strategies, representing the survival rules of two eras. The blue whale's strategy is efficiency first, eat the smallest things. Use the least energy to live the longest, while Ichthyotitan's strategy is power above all. Eat the biggest things, be the strongest hunter, and rule the entire ocean. Which one is more successful? Looking at the results, the blue whale won. Because it is still alive, while Ichthyotitan has been extinct for 200 million years. But this is not because the blue whale is stronger, it's because the Earth changed. The era that allowed top predators to become giant has simply passed. Today's oceans lack enough nutrition, not enough oxygen, and not enough warmth. They can no longer sustain a 25-meter-long active hunter. What does the story of Ichthyotitan tell us? It tells us no matter how powerful, it cannot withstand drastic environmental changes. It tells us the Earth doesn't go easy on you, because you are a ruler. It tells us extinction is never a gradual process, it can happen overnight. 220 million years ago, Ichthyotitan was one of the most successful creatures on the planet. It ruled the oceans for tens of millions of years, evolving a perfect body, perfect hunting skills, and perfect adaptability. And then it disappeared, completely, thoroughly. It vanished without a trace, leaving only a few bones, picked up by an 11-year-old girl on a beach. In 2024, this discovery was officially announced. That jawbone fossil will soon be exhibited at the Bristol Museum in the UK. Ruby Reynolds, that 11-year-old girl back then, is now 15. She became one of the co-authors of this paper, one of the youngest scientists ever to help name a new species. Dr. Lomax said maybe one day we will find a complete adult Ichthyotitan skeleton. Only then will we know just how big this ancient monster could grow. But no matter what is found, one thing is certain: Ichthyotitan will never return. The era of that giant beast is forever over. All that remains are fossil data and a warning from 200 million years ago.